Hi, my name's Mike. I'm a technician here at GEO PSI. This video will be demonstrating the procedures and equipment used in the installation of cable protectors. This video will cover cast clamps, stamp clamps, and light-duty vertical protectors. First, we'll be moving on to safety on the rig floor. While on the rig floor, it's important that you are wearing the correct PPE. This includes impact gloves, safety glasses, a hard hat with a brim, coveralls, and steel-toed boots. Before we get started with the installation of the cable protectors, it's incredibly important that you place a hole cover, such as this one, over the open hole around the tubing. This prevents any tools or equipment from falling down. Now we can move on to the installation. We'll be starting with the equipment for the installation of the stamp clamp. In the middle here, we have the stamp clamp itself. Below it are 2 pins which will secure the gate. On our left here, we have the hydraulic installation tool which will secure the gates while the pin is being driven down. In the middle, we have the mechanical installation tool. This is the same tool, but is mechanically operated. On our right side, we have the pneumatic air hammer. This will drive the pin down into the gate. Above it, we have the same tool, but in the manual version. We have a hammer above it that will pound down onto the driver, securing the gate. Starting with the installation of our stamp clamp, we'll be first looking at the stamp clamp itself. It's important to note the orientation of the stamp clamp. We have rounded bolts that will face up, and at the bottom, we have non-rounded bolts that will face down. In the center, we have a channel that our TEC will run through, and gates at top and bottom that will close around the tubing, allowing us to drive the pin down through the center. It's important to note the orientation of the pin as well, which has the bumps on the outside, and it flanges out from the tube. Now moving on to the installation at the rig floor. It's always important to use a hole cover around our tubing over the open hole. We will have another technician help us as we guide the clamp over the collar and over the TEC on top and bottom. Our technician will hold this in place. Now I will ready my hydraulic tool. We close using the holes on either side of the gate. And once it's sealed, we pause, driving in the pin and removing the tool. We drive the pin to the bottom. We always start with the bottom first and then move to the top. Now with the mechanical installation tool, we'll close the top gate. We place the pin, having the technician hold it in place. For demonstration purposes, we're using the manual tool to drive the pin down. We drive the pin to the bottom. We remove our mechanical installation tool, and then we remove our hole cover, and now we have a completed stamp clamp. Moving on to the installation equipment of a cast clamp. On the left side, we have the cast clamp itself with 2 gates on either side. We have the bolts which are threaded in. In the center, we have the air driver. Above it, we have a 7/16 socket, which is the correct size for our bolts. On the right side, we have a torque wrench set to 30 foot-pounds. Moving on to the installation of the cast clamp, we'll be starting with the cast clamp itself. We note that the gates are on the top and bottom, and they have bolts that flip up to be driven down and secure the gate. On the inside, we have slots for different sizes of TEC. Since we are using 4mm TEC encapsulated to 11mm, we will be using the largest slot on this side. Now onto the installation at the rig floor. We always ensure that we use a hole cover when there's an open hole. We place it around the tubing. Then, with another technician holding the clamp, we align the TEC into our slots and close our gates. Then, with our pneumatic air driver, we will drive the gates in until they are touching, and then we will finish it off with a 30 foot-pound torque wrench. Okay, give it a click there, so that's finished. And another click, and we are done with the installation of the cast clamp. Now we will remove our hole cover and move on to the next collar. Moving on to the installation equipment of the light-duty vertical protector. On the left side, we have the light-duty vertical protector. In the center, we have the air bander. On the right side, we have 3/4 inch stainless steel banding, and in the center, we have 2 banding seals. Moving on to the installation of the light-duty vertical protector. First, we'll take a look at the light-duty vertical protector. We have a channel which the TEC will run through, notch cutouts for the collar itself, and then we have slots for our banding to go through, and this slot is dependent on which TEC you're using. Since we're using the 4mm TEC encapsulated to 11mm, we'll use the larger slot that's further away from this edge. Now moving on to installation at the rig floor, we always ensure that we have our hole cover around our tubing over the open hole. We will take our banding and we'll place our banding seal on the inside. First, we start at the bottom. We will place our banding through. We ensure that our banding seal has its ridge on the inside, and it is on the left side of the light-duty vertical protector. Now we place with the second set of hands holding the protector. We ensure that it's aligned on both sides. We bring our banding seal up and feed it into the banding seal. We have about 1.5 inches on the outside that we bend back against itself. Then we pull tight, ensuring that the TEC hasn't escaped on either side. We pull tight as hard as we can, and then we finish it off with the banding gun. We butt the banding gun right up against the seal. We press the button to tighten. Then we cut it. Now, repeating this process, on the top, we'll place another banding seal, ensuring that it faces in towards the tubing, and it is on the left side. Our technician will hold the wire against the tubing, and I will use the correct slot to feed my banding through. We feed it back around, placing the banding into the banding seal. We bend back approximately 1.5 inches to 1 inch. Then we tighten by hand against the light duty vertical protector. We will finish off with the banding gun. We tighten, then we cut. This is a completed light duty vertical protector. Now we will remove the whole cover and we are finished. Now that we've installed our clamps, let's take a look at how we can take them off. Starting with our cast clamp, we'll be using the same tools that we used to install to take it off. First, we always put our whole cover around the tubing over the open hole. We'll have another technician hold the clamp while we remove. Using our pneumatic air driver, we'll ensure that we are reversed, and then we will drive the socket and bolts out. We don't want to make sure we want to torque this too much on its way out. We don't want to damage the bolts. Now we open the bolts and the clamp can be removed. Now we take the whole cover out and the clamp has been removed. Removing the light duty vertical protector will require a different type of chisel for our air hammer. We have a chisel bit end and a flat surface here, which we'll put up against the tubing to avoid gouging. We'll also use tin snips if required. If we don't have this bit, we can use them as well. First, we place our whole cover around the tubing. We will have a second technician hold the cable protector in place, and then placing our flat end of the chisel against the tubing, lifting up to the banding, we turn on the gun. Breaking the banding. Now on the bottom, we will show you tin snips. Just get in and cut. Now we remove the cable protector and we are finished. Removing the stamp clamp will require the use of the pneumatic air hammer and the same bit we used to install it. We can also use the manual pin driver shown earlier in the video. First, we always start with our whole cover. We place it around the tubing over the open hole. We'll have another technician hold the clamp in place while we are removing it. Now taking our air hammer, we'll drive the pin out. We always want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on the pin as it comes out. We don't want it to fall. For demonstration purposes, we'll show you the manual pin driver as well. Placing it in the hole, and we hammer it out. Move the pin, we remove the clamp, and then we remove the whole cover, and we are finished. Thank you for watching this video on the cable protector removal and installation procedures. If you have any more questions about GEO PSI's products and services, please contact us through our website, geopsi.com.